Today is Monday, September the 9th. This is the start of an interview with Mr. Frank Torrice at the Clinton Macomb Library, 40,900 Romeo Plank Road, Clinton Township, Michigan, in partnership with RSVP of Macomb. Mr. Torrice is 86 years old. He was born September the 3rd, 1927. My name is Dave Brousseau, and I'll be the interviewer, and Gary Miglio will be the videographer. Mr. Torrice, would you state for the record the branch of service that you served?
I was in the Army.
The Army.
U.S. Army.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about your family first. This is kind of a unusual interview in that we're going to be talking not only about your exploits but also your brother.
Right.
You had two brothers?
Yes.
One was quite a bit older than you.
Yes.
10?
Yes.
10 years?
10 years old.
And that was
Robert.
Robert. Your folks were not American born.
Neither was I.
Where were you born?
Casino, Italy.
Casino, Italy. Now that's 40, 50 miles from Rome,
Right.
right?
It's about approximately.
Not a big community,
No, not too big. No.
more central Italy.
Central Italy.
When you went in the service, you were drafted in 1946, so it kind of set the tone for where things are.
Right.
This was peacetime.
Right.
What year or what age were you when you came over to
I
America?
was 10 years old.
10.
Yes.
What was that like? Do you remember any of that?
Oh, yes. Certainly, I remember. I was 10 years old, and it was odd. In fact, when we got here in the morning, it was, I think, the 24th of December. We got to Detroit, and I went outside, and there was snow on the ground, and I'm looking for gold in the streets because that's what they told us in Italy. While you go into America, you'll find gold in the streets. And they found no gold. Not really. All I found was snow, and when the snow melted, it still was no gold.
Had you ever seen snow before?
No. A couple of flakes when I was 5 years old. A couple of flakes came down in our hometown, but that was it.
The weather, pretty consistent in the
Yes.
middle?
Yes.
No real cold, no real hot?
No. No. The coldest I ever got probably was around the 40s. Never froze in our town.
Not ever been there. Having been there, is that a farming community? or-
Yes.
Okay.
We were farmers.
Growing grapes,
Yes.
drinking a lot of wine?
Yes. Yes.
Now, if you came over at 10, then Brother Bob would be 20. Plus or minus.
Plus or minus.
Where did you go to school?
I went to public school. I started at Harris School in the first grade. Harris in Detroit. It was on Mondalit and Zender, just south of Gratiot and Mondalit. And from there I went to St. Elizabeth, a Catholic school.
Where was that?
That was on Canfield and McDougal.
Oh, right down
And from there, we moved near the city airport, and I went to Patronage at St. Joe's School. And by the time I was 13, I caught up with the class because I didn't know English when I first came.
Really? What was the motivating factor in coming from Italy?
We wanted to get away from the farm, and of course I was small, but my brother and my sister, they wanted to come here so bad. Let's get out of here. Let's go to America. We're gold. Where's gold? There's no gold.
Were the effects of the war in on that decision?
There was no war in 1937, 36. There was no war.
Well, but there was a lot of...
No,
No?
no, nothing was. No
What
war.
would make you want to leave home for an unknown country?
Because my father was here. He came here in 1913, came home in 1915, married my mother, and then he got drafted for World War I. And he fought with the Italian Army for 4 years. And in 1919, when the war was over, all the Italian soldiers that fought in the war, we were allies with America. And they could have came here with their family free.
Oh my goodness.
And my mother didn't want to come. She wanted to stay in Italy. So my dad came
And this was...
in 1920. And came back in 1926.
My goodness, he's gone for 6 years, eh?
Oh yeah, came back in 1926. He, I guess, got my mother pregnant. And he left before I was born. He came back here. And he wanted to take my mother. My mother didn't want to come. And
Really?
She had the three kids. I wasn't born yet. And finally, in 1932, her mother died, which would be my grandmother. And my brother and my sister kept saying this was during Depression. Let's go to America. Let's go to America. Finally, she agreed to it.
Now, she had family there that probably
Yes.
was
Yeah, her whole family was there. Yeah.
overriding factors
Right.
in her not...
Well, her mother. She didn't want to leave her mother.
Yeah.
And so finally we got here, and my father, they were married 22 years when we came here, from 15 to 37, and we figured out they weren't together 22 months, and she had 4 kids. So if they were together more than that, we had a big family.
Yeah, sure.
And he never saw none of us being born,
Oh,
none of our
darn.
4 children. You know. That's our history.
So your brother went in, got drafted, or
Yes, 1941.
1941? Was it prior to Pearl or after?
Oh, after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. And I suspect, well, he'd be an American citizen by then.
No, we were citizens under my father. Until
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
There was some,
He became citizen after that.
you become a citizen. Oh, now where was he born? Here or there?
Who?
Your brother?
Oh, we were all born in Italy.
Okay, because of his citizenship.
And my oldest brother, he didn't come with us. Because he was in the army, the Italian army at the time. He had to serve 2 years. And then when he got discharged, he came in 1939, I think it was 38, 39.
So
And they both got drafted.
he came over here and he had to go the routine all over
Oh,
again.
yeah.
Now, somewhere in that time frame, or 4 or 5 years later, you get through school and you join the Merchant Marine.
Yes.
What on
1945, I joined the Merchant Marine. Because I didn't want to go in the Army. I knew I was going to be drafted
Okay.
at 18. So I joined the Merchant Marines. I told my father didn't want me to join the Navy I wanted to join the Navy. And he says, "Nah, you got two brothers in the war now, I don't want you to go too."
What'd your mom say?
My mother didn't want me to go either. So I told my father that if I joined the Merchant Marines, it would be around the Great Lakes.
Okay, and
So
the
he
merchant
agreed to
marine
that.
in general is kind of a supply ship,
Yes.
transporting equipment,
Picking up
troops,
troops and that, yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
Not an active contact type
No,
ship.
no, the
This
ship,
is,
we had Navy on board to protect us.
Right, whatever that does
Yeah,
for you.
that didn't do much.
Or you could have an escort ship that went along with you depending on where you went.
Yeah,
And by the way, during World War II, there were active German subpacks
oh, yeah,
all over, just in the international waters. I
Right.
mean,
well, when
some
I.
of them have been visible along the East Coast.
Oh, yes.
So-
During World War II, yeah. But we made one trip, we went to Le Havre, France, picked up the troops, because the war was over in Germany. The war wasn't over in Japan yet.
No,
And so we went to Le Havre, France, picked up the troops, and we brought them back to America. They were supposed to go to the Pacific, but then the war
that's
ended.
that group that early in the year when the Germans surrendered,
Surrendered, right.
there was a group of folks that hadn't gotten their point system,
Right,
were shipped over to go over help out in the Pacific.
right.
And that didn't end until late,
No, that ended in August.
late
Yeah.
August, or late 45.
Right. That was it. So-
Okay,
And the reason why I didn't get drafted in 45, because I didn't go back to the Merchant Marines because my dad was dying, in which he did die in October. And my brother was sent home from Italy. He was still in Italy at the
Yeah.
time. He came home and we went to get a deferment because of my dad dying.
mhm,
And they gave me a year's deferment. And so in 1946, the year after, this was in 45, I was 18 in 45, and I got that greetings right on my birthday.
Sweet little greeting letter.
Right on my birthday, greetings. That's when I.
Greetings, Frank.
Yeah, then that's when my brother and I went to the draft board, and they gave me a year deferment. So in 1946, on my birthday, I went to the board, and I went to Fort Belvoir for engineer training.
Now, how long were you in the Merchant Marine?
Oh, about 4 or 5 months,
Yeah.
that's it. I did-
What kind of an experience was that?
I love the sea, and
You son of a gun, and you never got seasick.
no,
Damn.
I wanted to be out
I
at
have
sea.
such an appreciation for those.
I seen a lot of them get sick
Oh,
when we shipped out to Korea.
when I left port, I was sick, and it was gonna be for at least
2 or 3
20
days.
to 48 hours.
Oh, yes, yes.
Walking around with a box of crackers,
Oh, yeah.
soda crackers.
When we shipped out to Korea, as soon as the ship started to move, everybody goes, ah! And me, I'm just watching them. And then never bothered.
Well, some of these ships too, you know.
Yeah.
I was exclusively assigned to destroyers, and they would rock on a sheet of glass.
Oh, yeah. Well, those
I don't know
Liberty,
what it would be like on a carrier, but
well, these were Liberty ships. They weren't too stable either, those
No,
Liberty ships.
no.
They weren't too stable.
no.
That was it.
What kind of duties did you have aboard ship?
I don't know if it was my score on my tests, but I never had any duties. You know, I didn't have nothing.
Well, there's really nothing to do.
Nothing
Once
to
the
do.
ship is loaded,
I know.
you move to point B, whatever that is, and then it needs to be unloaded.
Yeah,
You're a deckhand, so to speak.
so to speak, but my buddies, they all had KP and everything. I didn't have nothing. And on the way back, they made me, I had to tell the boys, we'd have meetings on our GI Bill of Rights and that.
Yeah,
And I'd have to tell my compartment, you know, about the meeting and that.
yeah.
I never had anything to do. And when we got to Korea, they made me an MP, and I'm an MP. That was it.
So you get drafted, where do you go for boot?
Fort Belvoir,
Where's that?
Virginia. Fort Belvoir.
What'd you think about that?
That was great.
How long?
6 weeks, I think it was.
6?
Around 6 weeks, yeah.
Was the introduction to all of this activity kind of surprising, or?
No, it just, I went through the same thing that, when I joined the Merchant Marines, they give us shots and everything, so I went through all that, and it was almost the same thing in the Army, when I got at camp. They went through shots, get your clothes and everything. It didn't really do anything to me.
So, at this time, your brother Robert is already in the,
But my brother Robert's in Fort Ord, California.
yeah.
He never saw combat. That's my older brother.
So the younger one was, what,
Casimir.
7 years younger
Yeah.
than you?
Older, 7 years older than me.
Yeah. So they came quick, and then you kind of were an afterthought, eh?
I guess. Well, my father was never there.
Well, so Casimir was also in the service at the time that you got drafted. No, he was in 41, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He fought all 4 years in war. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Casimir. That seemed to be a pretty heavy concern of yours when we talked.
Oh, yes, he,
Casimir went in, what time, what part of 41, before or after Pearl?
after Pearl.
After?
Yeah, he got drafted and he went down south, and now I forget the name of the camp that he was in Alabama, I think it was. Got his basic training, then they shipped him to Fort Lewis, Washington, I think Fort Lewis, Washington. They were gonna ship him out to the Pacific.
Yeah,
And,
he was gonna be assigned to the Pacific, and
Right.
somehow he weaseled his way.
He wanted to go to Europe, back to Europe.
Go to Europe.
Back to
And
Europe.
where does he end up?
He ends up in our hometown.
Yeah, back in your hometown,
And in a foxhole on our property in Casino.
I'll be damned, that's amazing.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. Amazing.
Now, what's, well,
And the story's there where he gets, how he got the Silver Star, and he was wounded twice.
yeah, that was an interesting read.
Yes.
I can't imagine what that must have been like, going back home and fighting. I'd have to think about this a while, but maybe you can be helpful. What in the world was going on in 1942 in Italy?
The Italians were fighting with the Germans in Africa. In Italy, they weren't fighting. They didn't want the Mussolini army. There was two armies: the regular King's army and Mussolini army. The two of them. And the ones in Italy. When my brother got to Italy, they were fighting the Germans. They weren't fighting the Italians. But in Africa, all the Italians gave up. They wanted to fight the Americans. And he just fought the Germans, my brother.
Mhm.
He never fought the Italians.
How long was he there?
Well, I think he went there in 1943, either the end of 42, until 45. He was in a...
Now, was he there when the D-Day landings occurred and
Oh, yes.
the Americans went through?
Yeah, he went to Africa. From Africa, then he was on, he went through...
That's gotta be amazing,
Yeah. Like I told you, his first wound was, he went to get his wounded partner, and he got shot. He used to wear his helmet cocked, and 2 bullets spun around his helmet, and they landed
And
on
they
his shoulder.
exited so that it went through his shoulder.
Into his shoulder in the back, and he had 2 silver dollars, this in the back of his shoulder. He stuck right there. They were spent. The bullets were actually spent,
They must have flattened out and,
and they just stuck on his back, and he's pulling it. He still pulled the guy out of a firing line, and he got the Silver Star for that. And then when you went up to Arnold, they fought at near, and that's when he got it across the hips.
well, he would have gotten the Purple Heart too.
Yeah, he got 2 Purple Hearts. Yeah,
Now, he was shot in the abdomen or
across the hips.
across the hips? That was at a later time?
Yeah, that's after he recuperated from the wound on his shoulder. He sent him back to fighting. He was some, for a little guy, a lot of guts. Yeah, he was the run of the family. 5'4", 5'5", a lot of guts. Yeah.
Kind of a feisty little.
Oh, God.
We just interviewed a brother combination a couple weeks ago, and the older brother was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you come out of boot and they send you where to,
Camp Stoneman, California.
and what do you do there?
Nothing, we shipped out. We went to,
So you weren't in any kind of advanced training, you were just, that was a
just
stop off?
basic training,
Yeah.
because the war was over.
So where did they send you then?
We went Stoneman to Korea,
What part of Korea?
Incheon, Korea. We
Incheon.
went to, yeah, Yeongdeungpo was a replacement depot. We all went to Yeongdeungpo, which was just south of Seoul. And from there, all my buddies were sent up at the 38th parallel, and I was sent to Incheon. And I said, how come they're going up there and I'm going out? He said, you're going to be an MP.
Just, they needed an MP, so you got nominated.
I got nominated for MP duty in
Incheon is in South Korea.
yeah, well, not South Korea. It's about the center. It was on the west coast of Korea.
South Korea.
The west coast of South Korea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's on the more on the southern part. It was maybe about, let's say maybe 40 or 50 miles from Seoul. Maybe not even. South
So
of
you
Seoul.
weren't really close to the battle lines that,
No,
were-
but there was no war.
yeah. Well, there's still the hangover, but
Yeah.
where it was, you were somewhat inland and south.
Yeah. We liberated Korea. The Japanese had Korea, so we liberated Korea and we occupied it.
Now, you were kind of a worldly type person, being born in Italy and coming to the U.S. and
Right.
now you're in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like? What was it like being in Korea?
I felt sorry for the people. They were so poor. I mean,
Mhm.
there weren't even any trees because they used trees for firewood. All there were, as if eyes could see, was rice paddies. Rice paddies everywhere you went. That's all you saw. Now I see South Korea is like the United States. Us being there,
Mhm.
all the golfers come from South Korea now. It's beautiful out there. But when I was there, it was nothing.
Devastating, huh?
Devastating. Yeah.
What were they like as a people to be?
They were actually in fear of us. They were,
Really?
Oh yeah, they were afraid of us.
What would make them afraid of us?
Well,
Just an invader,
yeah.
so to speak, I guess. Eh?
Yeah, they were occupied by Japan since I think the early 1900s, and we were just different people. They never saw white people, I guess, or whatever it was. You know, all they knew was East, Japanese people and Asian.
What was going on in North Korea at the time?
Nothing, just nothing at the time. But there was the 38th Bell as the
The
division
separator.
but there was nothing. There was just guards. There were no.
Was there a condition of war between the two of them, or
Yeah.
that had been going on for?
But it was a DMZ. There was a DMZ
Right.
zone. There was a zone.
Yeah.
And while I was there at the time, there was no incidents or anything until the war broke out. I think in '51 or '52.
Uh-huh.
That's when the war broke out between.
Now, this might be something you don't know, but how did the Japanese get displaced and the Chinese take over? If the Japanese were in South Korea,
Yes.
how did they get pushed out and,
The Japanese, they surrendered. There were no more Jap. Oh, you mean from North Korea?
yeah,
I have no idea. I think by the Chinese, I guess.
probably, huh?
Probably from the communists.
And I think the Chinese really got involved only because the U.S. was at war with
Right,
Korea,
yeah.
North Korea specifically.
North Korea,
And during the war, the Chinese came in.
yeah. I think the same thing happened in Vietnam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Same
yeah,
identical thing. I don't know. It's just-
yeah. Now, you didn't spend a lot of time in Korea, but
No, President Truman, thank God that
Yeah.
that he got rid of all
kind
the
of a
bad-
strange set of circumstances.
Yeah,
They
it-
just decided, this is what, 46, 47?
47,
47?
1947.
Okay, all you vets,
Go home.
we don't need you, go home.
Yeah.
So you're in this about 9 months or so.
No, I was there 5 months. I think we
5
went to
months.
December.
Okay.
He just got rid of all the draftees and made it a regular army. Now there were with us the ones that joined. And you joined for 2 years, at least 2 years. Well, they remained, and the ones that all of us that were drafted were sent home. That was good.
When you got drafted, what did you learn about your commitment in terms of time? 2 years?
We figured out
Yeah.
at least 2 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the norm at the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you joined for 2 years. In fact, when we got back to Canson, California, they asked me if I wanted to be re-up for 2 years.
Oh, they
I said,
always do that,
I
yeah.
said, no,
Yeah.
I'm going home. I want to get married. Yeah. That was it.
I gotta keep this all straight. You came home, now your wife, when did you meet her?
Oh, when I was 13, 14.
So you were in junior high or high school when you met your wife?
I was in grade school.
Grade school?
Yes. She lived across the alley from me. You know, Detroit, and the houses are so close together, and
Yeah.
there's an alley in between.
Yeah.
And she lived directly behind me, you know, just on the other street. And I saw her, and I met her while I was putting our wood for the furnaces. I was throwing them in the garage from the alley, and she came in the backyard, and she was crying. She had to be around 13 years old at the time, because I was 14. And she's crying, and her mother said, "What's the matter?" She said, "They burned all my hair." She went for some
perm?
kind of
Perm.
permanent, yeah, and they put those heaters on them,
Oh.
and they forgot. They forgot it.
Oh my God.
So she had all her hair burned, and she was crying. I said, "Ah, you cry baby." And she said, "Ah, shut up." She
You said that?
I said, "Ah, you cry baby."
Boy, you could have cooked your goose forever
Yeah,
there.
that was it. Yeah. She never liked me after that. Yeah, that was it. But then after she got to be 17, and
The wounds healed.
yeah, yeah. And I got home in
And
'47.
you became a stud instead
Yeah, oh,
of
yeah.
bad guy.
Right. Came home in '47, got married in '48. 1948.
Now, you told me you had to come home because she was a bit flirtatious, and
Oh, yeah. When she
that
graduated.
bothered you more than it probably bothered her that you're away.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. But we made up. That was it. That was so.
So you got married in
48.
'48.
Yeah.
Was there any thought of you staying when Truman said, "Go home"? I'm sure you had an opportunity to stay in.
Oh, yes. We all did, yes. But-
That just never crossed your
Oh,
mind.
no. I just wanted to go.
No way to address Miss Flirtatious in Korea, why?
No. If I was in the Navy, I might have stayed,
Yeah.
because I love the Navy, but it was the Army. And
What got you so infatuated with the Navy?
I love the sea.
Hmm.
Never got sick.
Well, there should be a requirement in reflection that if you can't take the ocean or the water for that part,
Yeah.
shouldn't be allowed to join the Navy, but
Yeah.
let's go back to Casimir. When he went over there, how long did he stay in Italy with the Italian army or the American army?
Yeah, it was
I
the
want to come back to this a minute. He was in the Italian army
Oh,
when
that-
he was
no.
in Italy.
It was
No,
Robert.
That was Robert.
That was Robert, okay. So now he comes back home, so to speak, and he's in the American army amongst all of his homegrown folks,
Mhm. Yeah.
family.
He found them up in the mountains because the casino was taken by the Germans.
Yeah.
So all our families were up in the mountains. It's in that story there where
When did he meet his wife to be?
the second time when he was in Rome, recuperating from his wounds, his bad wounds. And she used to help. And
What do they call those?
Candace Stripe.
Candy
Oh,
striper.
Candy stripers. They
Yeah.
called them that then.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. She's-
Well, I'll be darned.
So she was helping with the nurses and doctors at the hospital. And Kaz actually spoke Italian just as fluent as when we left. And he started talking to her in Italian, and that was it.
Now, these were the wounds down
Yeah,
in,
right, oh, yeah.
a little more serious thing.
Yeah, those were it. He never would have went back fighting after that. After those.
Now, he gets married to this young lady. Where is he married?
The way I understood it, he got married by the Pope.
That's something.
Yeah, so.
This would have been Pope Pius the Tenth?
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Fat chance of that happening now, but
Yeah.
that was apparently at that time more routine than it is now.
On what?
That he would even have the opportunity to get married
Oh.
by the Pope.
Oh, yeah.
That were some of the popely duties
Right.
around that time during the war and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, when he came back, he ended up in California, didn't he?
Well, he stayed here for a year, and then he couldn't take the dampness here. He said,
Yeah.
I got to get out of here, so he moved to California.
Was his death in any way connected with his wounds, or just
Diabetes and
diabetes
Yeah,
and related?
yeah,
And he was a pretty young man?
58.
Yeah.
58.
How big a family did he have?
He had 5.
5.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Obviously, at that time, you probably didn't see
Not too
Casimir
much,
as much
not too
as...
much, no. He came here in 1970. He came to Detroit. No, he came to Detroit during the riots. He arrived here on the,
Oh,
on
my
the
goodness.
Sunday of the riots.
Wow.
And him and his family, they stayed, in fact, they stayed by my sister's house in Harper Woods. And he kind of was worried about his family being here, but it was all right over there in Harper Woods. Everything was fine. Yeah.
You and your wife have 3 girls. What was the plan when you got married
The
for
plan-
having kids?
Well, my wife wanted 6, but the first one was supposed to have been a boy. But
Okay,
It was a girl.
let's spend a minute on that. You wanted a boy,
Yes.
and you already figured out what his name was going to
Yeah,
be.
it was going to be
Christopher?
Christopher, yes.
So the first birth is a girl.
Right. Yeah, first one is a girl.
So how long after that for the second?
The second was 1952. She was born at 49.
And you were still waiting for
I
the boy?
waited for the boy.
Another girl comes.
Another girl came, and at that time, in 1952, the Hobson, the destroyer Hobson, was cut in half by the Wasp, the aircraft Wasp, and my brother-in-law was on that ship, on the Hobson, and he got killed.
Oh, my goodness.
And his name was Michael. So when my girl was born.
That was Michelle,
we called
with
her
one
Michelle.
L.
Yeah, called her Michelle. Yeah.
And then
Then
the next birth comes
in 57,
57, and it's
Elizabeth,
another girl.
another girl.
And you call her now
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth?
Lisa.
Lisa.
Yeah. And I could tell you what my neighbor said about her.
Go
She
ahead.
said- My neighbor, Mrs. Nowakowski, I come home and she says, Frank, another girl, you don't look too happy. Yeah, I said, another girl. And she said, Frank, it takes a tailor to make a buttonhole. Anybody could leave a string hanging. And I laughed and I couldn't get over it. Unbelievable. So in 1960, my son finally is born. I got a boy. And I was at the firehouse at the time, and they called me. He says, "You got to come down. They got to change his blood." He was a gonna be a blue baby. I guess we had the RH factor here.
Yeah, I remember that. Our family had the same thing, where
Yeah.
they had to drain it and
Yeah,
read.
and the nurse come up to me, and the nun, she says, have you thought of a name for your son? And I said, oh, yes.
10 years ago.
10 years, 12 years ago. I said, when we got married, I said, it's gonna be Christopher. She says, oh, that's nice, today is Columbus Day. I never even thought of it. So he's born on Columbus Day. That was it. Finally got the boy.
It's funny how these births seem to be a big deal.
Yeah.
My first two were boys, so
Well,
my
you were
friends
lucky.
told me anybody can produce plumbing on the outside, but it takes a man to put it on the inside.
Yeah.
So then I had two girls, so kind of foiled that.
Yeah.
Now, what did the three girls end up doing?
The two of them work for insurance companies,
Mhm.
and one's married. She's a housewife.
Housewife?
Yeah, she's a housewife.
And what about Christopher?
Christopher worked for EDS now, I think, and then he went to Hewlett Packard, and now
So
I think.
he's a computer guy.
Yeah, he's computers,
Are they all living around?
yeah. Yes, they're all in this area. Yeah.
Does he have any young ones?
Yeah, he's got two boys and a girl.
So you got
I got
Three?
six grandchildren.
6,
And 3 great grandchildren.
3 great,
Yeah.
and they're all in the area.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And you're involved in
Oh, yes.
all of that stuff?
Yeah.
Do they separate between grandpa and great grandpa?
They call me Papa.
Papa.
Papa Frank. Papa Frank.
We talked quite a bit about Casimir. There was obviously a fairly strong relationship there
Yeah.
in his career in the service. I don't know, where do you think that came from?
I have no idea. He was a different kind of guy. He was just always ready to fight.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess because of his height,
Okay.
and
okay.
he wanted to fight. He always wanted to fight. He was a Caravaggio. That was my mother's maiden name, Caravaggio. He was a Caravaggio. And they were all very, very, they'd fight on any, just on the drop of a coin. Yeah.
I wrote a word down here, and now I'm having trouble remembering why I wrote it down. Capaldi, what was that?
That was the one that told me about this.
Dave,
Oh.
he's the one who wrote the journal. He was
Oh,
he was an
okay,
Okinawa.
okay.
And
We-
she's
we
the one who
interviewed
transcribed his stuff.
Capaldi,
Oh, did
okay.
you?
I was trying to find out where
Yeah.
where you came from, and it was Capaldi initially that said, why don't you do
Yeah.
this?
Right,
And then you got a hold of Ann,
yeah,
and
right.
that's where we got you
Yeah.
here.
It was at a picnic, yeah, a Capaldi reunion.
Do you still do those
Yeah, we did.
family gatherings?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Do you have any connection with anybody back in Casino?
I've still got cousins
Yeah, do you communicate at all?
there.
or-
Not anymore.
That's still a farming community,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
and obviously you haven't been back there since then.
Yes, I went back in 92,
Did you?
1992.
What
yes.
was that like?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was just like.
Could you remember a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
stuff?
Oh, yeah. Drove right, we rented a car and I drove right through where my aunt lived and where I served mass in my little town. The
You were an
church.
altar boy.
I was an
I'll
older boy.
be darned.
Yeah.
what do we call them? Acolytes.
Acolyte.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Acolytes.
I was an altar boy. I even served mass on the ship coming over here.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, I served mass on the ship when, took us 10 days to get here, 8 or 10 days. Took a long time.
When you came home to get married, how did you find employment?
Good. I worked at Hudson Motor Car Company.
Hudson, how did you get that job?
I just went and applied and they gave it to me.
What did you do?
I was, I used to repair dents and as the body came by with an iron, you know, and lead, I'd fill the hole.
Oh, with,
I was a metal finisher. They call me a metal finisher.
what's that stuff out of a tube they put in there to smooth it over?
No, this was regular lead.
Lead, yeah.
Lead. I'd melt the lead on the hole.
Oh, that's,
And then the finisher would come, file it, and then I got to be a metal finisher. And it didn't work too well.
Bondo was the word I was thinking
Oh,
of.
no, yeah, when they didn't use Bondo then. No, it was all lead.
Oh, that's quite a skill to be
Yeah.
able to melt.
Yeah, melted and pull the hole out, and then they'd repair it. And I got married and had the baby, and we weren't working too well. A lot of guys in the summer, let's go home, it's too hot. And I needed the money, so I said, I gotta get out of this. I went to apply for the police department. I was too short. You gotta go and take a stretching lesson, exercise. So I was parked by the water board building, and I looked and there's a little sign on there, join the fire department. Floor 31, 31st floor or something. I went up there.
Not funny how that just happened.
It just happened. I signed up and
A little tiny thing, and
Yeah.
you're sitting out there looking all over the
yeah,
place. And
yeah, and just a little sign. And I signed up and they called me and I got on in 1951.
apparently, you didn't need qualifications other than,
Well, you had to have
Size
a
and-
high school education.
Yeah.
And, you took a test and then your physical, you had to have all your molars, you had to have all your teeth. But after you got on, you could have pulled them all out. Yeah, that was part of the
you
classification.
spent quite a while in the.
36 and a half years almost.
Yeah.
Started in 51, and I had to retire when I was 60. I didn't want to retire. I loved the job.
Now, how old would you have been, 60, with,
1987. I had retired in 87.
no, you said they wanted you to, you could retire when?
I had to retire at 60. I could have retired after 25 years,
Uh,
but I liked the job. It was
Yeah.
exciting. It was like being in war. Just like being at war in Detroit.
Now, you joined up when?
1951.
And you were there during the race rides.
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that.
Exciting. 5 days. Didn't get home. I went to work on Sunday morning, didn't get home for 2 hours on Thursday night. 5 days of fires. And killing and shooting.
I was gonna try to get you to compare that with your war record,
Oh,
but there was no comparison.
no.
What's it like? I don't know. What's it like being shot at? What goes through your mind when?
All we did was duck. Duck and pull our guns out and try to find out where they came from, and
You would get sent to a fire,
yes.
and as soon as there were shots, you guys were
We had
told to leave.
We had to leave, in order to leave, yes.
What did some of the people around you that were living there say to you?
Oh, they were crying, don't leave, my house is gonna burn, which they did.
Yeah,
We have to leave, they're shooting at us. And at the time, this was when it first started, Sunday and Monday, and I felt sorry for the blacks that were, you know, older blacks that wanted our help.
This is where they live, it's all they have.
live, yes, yes. And we have to leave. We dropped our lines and everything, just got in the rig and back to quarters.
What area of Detroit was your
I was,
operation?
we bivouacked. We got all our companies on Manistee and Warren.
I don't know where the hell that is.
Well, it's on the
Warren
east
and
side.
Manistee.
Yeah, it's on the east side, just on the borderline of Grosse Pointe.
Okay, that would be out toward Jefferson side?
Between, well, it's...
Well, Warren
north of
and Jefferson maybe.
No, Jefferson was maybe about 2 or 3 miles south of Warren.
By Cadieux?
Yeah,
In the
okay.
Cadieux area.
Okay,
Yeah, he knows it. Yeah.
so
I know, we were...
You weren't in the real bad areas.
All the east, no, that was a good area.
yeah,
All the east side companies were all there.
yeah,
All the trucks and the engines. And as the fires came in the central office, they would, all right, engine 18, ladder 10, go. And we go to the fire. And then if we needed help, we'd call for more engine trucks. So it was pretty well organized. They did a good job.
were most of the buildings smaller rather than tall?
Well, we had mostly business buildings, like
Yeah.
drugstores and...
Yeah, and usually more than one
Oh,
would
yeah.
catch on, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
could you see the looting going on?
Oh, yes, yes. In fact, I was parked by this store, and I was the only one that had a gun at the time because we had a store, and
You didn't tell us this earlier, but you actually operated a restaurant,
yes,
family restaurant.
family restaurant, yes.
Was that in the same area?
No, that was in the suburbs. It was in Warren, and I got a permit to carry a gun because I used to bring the money to the...
So you were packing heat.
Yeah, I was packing. This was Sunday morning, and by Sunday night, Monday morning, the firemen had more guns than the policemen had. Everybody got their guns, and we were ready.
That must be really difficult.
Yeah, and then Governor, what's his name there? Governor, who ran for president? Can't you think? Who just ran for president?
Romney.
Romney. Governor Romney was the governor. George Romney was the governor, and we were calling for help from the National Guard. So he sends the National Guard.
Yeah,
No bullets, but a bayonet, a rifle with a bayonet.
yeah,
No
I just
bullets.
pulled
They,
into
they
Detroit
had them in their
about
pockets.
Yeah. Yeah.
a month or two before I had just come to Detroit. And I was telling you, I was driving down I-75 toward Jefferson.
Yeah.
And a radio announcement came over my radio. Anybody on I-75, stop, get off, and go on back home.
Yeah.
And some of the people were turning around, and 75 one way, going the other way, trying to get out.
Just to get out, yeah.
I mean, I can remember driving down, and I thought, I saw somebody up there, and they were actually shooting at cars as
Oh,
they
yeah.
went by.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was.
And then they had the National Guard, and half a dozen of the recruits that year were part of the National Guard,
Yeah,
and they got yanked down to Hudson's and downtown area.
right.
I didn't know they had unloaded guns.
They
They
didn't
had
have-
guns,
they didn't have
but
any
they were
bullets.
unloaded.
They didn't have any bullets. Then we got the regular army came up with tanks and jeeps. They had guns.
I think we were off for almost a week,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
stay out of the downtown area.
right. Yeah, well, like I say, I didn't get home till Thursday, from Sunday till Thursday night. then it kind of cooled off on on Friday and Saturday, just sporadic. That was it. That was it. That was a good experience. It was a war. Any war that I missed during the regular war, I got. That's right.
any narrow hits going on?
Not with me. My buddy, they were shooting at him. They just missed his truck. He was driving a truck. When he pulled in, he was white. He says, "What is going on?" He says, "We're trying to help these people and they're shooting at us. What's the matter with these people?"
You just happened to be there.
Yeah,
And they needed somebody to shoot at.
I guess.
No reason.
No, no. Something. Yep.
How long did it take for that to cool down?
It cooled down quite a bit at the time. But then, when Halloween came, then
Yeah,
that started
carried
all
on
over.
for quite a while.
But that was just burning. No, there was no shooting then, just fires.
Yeah, that stuff came out as far as Mount Clemens.
Oh yeah, fires. Ah. Go to work in the morning and didn't even have time to eat. Go in and out, put out one fire and go to the next one. All day long, all night long.
Any of your troops get shot or get hurt?
Oh yeah, one of them, Smitty got killed, got shot.
Hmm.
He was the only one that got shot. Another one got electrocuted at a fire. So we lost 2 firemen during the riot.
How did he get electrocuted?
He was on the ladder and he had a metal helmet.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. He moved the ladder and he hit the wire, electrocuted.
Hmm.
And then they got rid of all the metal helmets. They gave us plastic helmets. So we lost 2 of them during the riots. And he got electrocuted at a fire that we put out. We put that fire out. It was on a fort in Mount Elliott. It was a house fire, one of those big homes. And from there we went to another fire on Lafayette. And we heard they went back to that fire, and that's where he got electrocuted. They restarted the fire. He got killed. And we were bitter. Oh, we were bitter. Just to lose somebody like that in a fire. And Smitty got shot. He was out in the street and he got shot. They don't know who. They never did find out who shot him.
Probably just a stray bullet.
Whatever it was, yeah. That was it. Yeah.
So how old were you when you retired?
16, I had to retire at 16.
Yeah.
I didn't want to retire, but that was our, contract. Well, after 60, it's a demanding job,
Yeah.
firefighting.
A little harder to get out of bed in the morning, a little harder to make it through the day.
Yeah. But I still get excited every time I hear a siren. The old adrenaline gets up. I want to go, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine when I get to be 60, I'll probably feel that way too.
But you get to be 60. You wish you were still 60.
This was the vet I was telling you about when my other vet friend come walking in,
Oh, yeah.
the one that was 96.
Yeah.
We had interviewed him a couple months ago.
Uh-huh. Well, he went through the war.
Yeah,
He was a veteran.
yeah.
I don't even
He
call
was
myself a
a
veteran.
true vet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was really struck. He doesn't take any medications.
Beautiful. That's great. Great.
He looks far younger than
Oh, yeah.
96.
Yeah. Maybe it's that
Matter of
coffee.
fact, he recognized me.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him right off.
Could be the coffee he's drinking.
Well, I'm not 60 yet, so if I get there, I would have probably.
You will be.
I have a question. I just want to clarify in my mind the chronology. How old were you when you came over here?
10.
You were 10. And then you were 20 when you went into the, how old were you when you went into the Merchant Marines?
I wasn't quite 18 yet.
Okay.
Just-
And so Casimir was in Europe at that time?
Yes.
Now, did you get any letters or anything from him? Did you know that he was back in the hometown?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We got
Okay. Because he was there, that fighting was there for a few months.
Oh, he was there for a long time.
Yeah, so, I mean, what was your reaction, what was your family's reaction to know that, what was going on in the hometown and that he was there and?
It was fantastic when he told us he met all our cousins and our relatives and the priest that we served mass.
Because he could
with.
reassure your family that they were okay.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah. That was quite a deal. Yeah. That was quite a deal. Oh, Cassie. My brother Casper.
And later, after the 20s, you really didn't see Kaz very much.
Not after he moved to California.
Yeah. Well, even before that, he was in the Army.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You didn't get to see him,
No.
but I'm sure you communicated.
Oh, yes. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention, that I got 2 brothers in the service, in the Army, in the war, and we had a radio with a short wave in it, and they came and took a short wave out of our radio because we were Italians.
No, I bet, yeah.
Who did that?
The government.
Government.
Yeah. Never forget, we had a Philco, one of those old Philco radios. And my father he bought that, I think in 1939. It was one of the brand new radios. And we had a short wave in it.
Well, how did they know that you had it?
I don't know how they knew, but they came over. And
When you say they, the police?
that wasn't the police, it was the government. I don't know who it was, but they came and this is.
Probably FBI.
FBI, it had to be FBI.
Yeah. You know,
We have to take your short
there's
wave.
so many stories in World War II where people went off half-cocked.
Yeah,
All the imprisonment of the
of the
Japanese Americans.
Yeah, right.
And you follow all the way, even through Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
Misreading, misunderstanding,
Yeah.
the fear of communists spreading, and all of that fear was really not
I
what
know.
it should have been. And
That's,
I can understand where they're coming from.
oh, yeah, in a way, you can, and in a way, my father says, I got 2 sons in a war, and you're taking a, which we didn't need anyway, because we were no politicians, and we weren't politics, we were Americans. I love this country, and
Now, in the short wave, what were you able to do with that?
well, you could hear Europe, you can hear.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Shortwave. Forgot to mention that.
I'm not real familiar with that short wave, but is that the same thing as when people have these radios in their basement and the antennas? And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ham
like
radio.
ham radios?
Ham
Yeah,
radios.
same
Pretty
concept.
similar to that?
Same concept,
Yeah.
yeah.
But this was on a regular radio, it's
Yeah.
shortwave. And it also
And
had
that would have been 19...
1941, right after the war, it started. And they had a knob on there for TV.
Really?
Yeah, it said TV.
What the hell do you think that came
And,
from?
it was just.
I mean, what was that, 10 years before TVs?
Oh, yeah, that was just.
There
Well,
were, there were
that's not true.
TVs, but
TVs were out in the middle 40s, late 40s.
Well, yeah.
It just wasn't into the population
No,
yet.
but that knob didn't mean nothing. It just,
Yeah.
it was a selling point.
Right.
In other words, if you got TV, you probably put it in your ear, which you couldn't anyway.
No, it was the audio bands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So,
the picture was optional. So.
Yeah.
Not even optional.
Not even that.
Right.
That was some, yeah. That's it. Yeah,
Anybody have any other questions?
No.
that's
What
it.
kind of, were you aware of what kind of cargo you were carrying when you were in the Merchant Marine?
No, it was just a troop ship.
Just, oh,
We
it was
just
just a
went-
troop ship?
Yeah, at USS Cristobal. They used to take bananas from South America to here. It was a banana boat, that's what they called it. And so they converted it into a troop ship.
Ship.
And that's when we went to Le Havre, France to pick them up.
Well, within the Merchant Marine, they had troops, they had supplies, they had everything.
Oh, yeah, well, that was, yeah.
Certain ships
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
had,
They had oil tankers. That was all merchant ships.
they had a
I think-
merchant ship that was gonna transport troops.
Yeah.
They'd make sure it had a flat or round bottom, so it would rock quite a bit and make everybody sick.
Everybody's sick, yeah. Yeah. I'll never forget, on the way back, we saw a mine. And anytime you saw a mine, you either had to sink it or report it or what. And I heard this bang, 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 and I was in my room. I
Somebody
go
up
out
on the
there
bridge
and-
shooting at
yeah,
it?
and we're going around, and they're shooting at it, going around and around, and the soldiers are all laughing at the Navy. The Navy was supposed to give us the guns. We'll the soldiers said, "Give us those guns. You guys don't know how to shoot them." They're all ripping them, but they finally got it. They blew it up. Yeah, just it must have been. It took us maybe 4
Amazing
hours.
how close
Yeah.
the enemy ships were.
Oh, yeah. This mine, and this mine was off of England, not too far from England. It was just floating around,
Yeah,
and you had to get rid of it. And we were lucky that we saw it and it hit us.
yeah.
Had a lot of soldiers on the water. It hit us. We were loaded with soldiers. Yeah. That was it.
Well, Frank, thank you very much for your information.
Well, you're welcome.
Um,
I wish I would have served longer, but that was it.
Interesting to hear about your
My
brother
my
Casimir too,
brother
that,
Cas, yeah.
and it just happened to be with the race riots too, so you bring in a lot of discussion of things.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.